There's a reason why your to-do list never seems to get short. Why every day, week, or even month you feel like you're still trying to get the same things done and don't ever feel like you're really able to relax and know you got everything done. Some days you're able to say you got a lot done, but the idea of completely clearing your to-do list doesn't even occur to you anymore. Just getting it down to 2 to 4 items feels like the best you can hope for. I'm going to show you why this keeps happening to you and what you're going to do about it to change how you get stuff done for the rest of your life. Are you ready? Let's go. Okay, so let's look at a to-do list and see if we can find the problem. All right? So this list has respond to emails from clients, go to the gym, review last week's meeting notes, today's meeting at 3 p.m., grocery shopping, put away the laundry, which I can totally relate to, and clean the kitchen. All right? Now, I'm keeping this list really simple so we can get straight to the problem and start looking at the solution. I'm not even going to make this list longer, even though I'm sure your list is probably longer than this. I usually have a lot of things on my list too. But let's look at the reasons why this list, even as short as it is a monster list. All right. So let's just talk about a few things that are on the list first, right? So let's look at go to the gym first. There are a couple of things on this list that aren't so bad because we tend to know how to deal with them, right? So like go to the gym is a fairly self-contained item, right? If you have a workout you know you're going to do, it's really as simple as go do your workout and go home. Now, you may or may not have accounted for travel time, but we'll get into that later. But let's say you're going to make a protein shake after or have a pre-workout snack or drink. You've already missed a couple of things that should be on this list because those things will take time that you didn't account for. This means already your list isn't as long as it should be because you have more to do than you actually think you have to do, which means doing these things is going to leave less time for the things that have actually made it onto your list. So you end the day with things that are not done, and you actually have done more things that you haven't accounted for doing. However, if those things don't get crossed off your list, you'll feel less productive than you actually are, even if your list, or even if you were, more productive than your list suggests. All right. Let's look at another item, which is kind of like this: grocery shopping, right? Now, this is like the gym. If you have a shopping list already and you need to go grab those things from the store, this isn't so bad. But if you don't have a list yet, you're either going to need to take time to make a shopping list, which isn't accounted for on your to-do list, or you're likely to spend a bit more time and maybe money than you actually need to in the store. But there are things on your to-do list that are even sneakier than this grocery trip. Let's look at some of those sneakier items. Respond to emails from clients. Now, this one is sneaky because this will only ever be quick if you're already sure what you're going to say in those emails and if there are only a few emails to deal with. If clients are asking yes or no questions, this is easy when there are only a few emails. But if they have complex questions that require you to review your policy, send them links, adjust the payment plan, solve the problem, solve multiple problems, then this is going to take a long time because none of those emails is one simple task. And I'm going to show you why in a moment. Before I do that, let's look at another sneaky to-do list item: clean the kitchen. Now, cleaning the kitchen, or any room for that matter, is another tricky one that gets people way caught up. I'm also going to lump in put away the laundry in this section, okay? Let's look at what it takes to clean the kitchen on a regular day. I'm not even talking about a deep clean Sunday kind of day. You have countertops that may need cleaning, dishes that may need washing, clean dishes that may need to be put away, a stove that needs to be cleaned or wiped down, a floor that needs to be swept and mopped. Maybe something needs to get cleared out of the fridge. Trash needs to be taken out. That, my friend, is a project. It's not a task. And I mean project literally. Each of those things will take its own chunk of time. Each of these requires a certain technique that isn't necessarily shared by the other task, as in washing dishes isn't the same as sweeping or mopping a floor. They don't require the same thinking, nor do they require the same things from your body. If you mop and sweep and you get all up in them crevices, that's not the same as standing there and washing some dishes, right? If you're going to put something like cleaning a room on your to-do list, you need to list out all of the individual tasks that will require. This is the crux of why our to-do lists don't shrink to match how busy we've been. We put projects on our lists, and then call them tasks. Think even about putting away the laundry. The clothes need to be folded, task, or placed on the hangers, task. Possibly put in multiple closets, task. Things need to be moved around in your dresser to accommodate the clean clothes that you're putting away now, task. It's not as simple as taking the clothes out of the dryer and putting them in a bin. That's a single task. Putting the clothes pile on your bed or in the side chair, that was a quick and easy task, and that's why they're still sitting there. Now, there's a difference between multi-step tasks and projects. Responding to a single client email may be a multi-step task. You read the email, find the information they need, think through a reply, write the reply, multiple steps, but it largely results in one outcome per email. If you have to respond to 15 emails, that's at least 15 tasks, not one single item on a to-do list talking about respond to client emails. No. Now, if you rewrote your list to reflect each thing as a set of tasks, you'd see why it's so hard to get all of those things done in a day. Let's take a look at this. Respond to emails from clients. Okay, now I have broken this down into 15 slots, and frankly, I didn't even go into detail in all of those 15 emails, right? But I'm going to give you some examples of some of the things that responding to an email can take so you can look at how many steps, how many tasks may be involved in just responding to one email. So you might get a simple email. You got an email from a client, you got to go find some answers, write a reply. Maybe the answers aren't too hard to find. The next email, there's an issue with the payment plan, so you need to go into your software, adjust the payment plan, write a reply, but it feels a little off, so you overthink the reply. And then you feel like you wrote too much, so you overthink the reply again, and then you edit that reply before you hit send. How long do you think that took? That's just one email, 1 out of 15, right? Another email might be something that you can solve just reading the email. They have a question about a thing or a timeline or something. You can solve that right there in the email. And maybe that's how you think all of the emails are going to be, but it's never like that. So I stopped there, but think about that like 5 more times, right? Having all these things to do just to respond to one email. Treating respond to client emails as if it's one task is crazy work, right? All of these emails require a few different things for you to do to actually respond to them appropriately. So that's not a single item. And we're just talking about emails. Let's look at go to the gym. Now, go to the gym seems pretty self-contained. And again, if you put it on your to-do list and maybe you put like a time next to it, like, okay, this is going to take an hour, then maybe you've set aside the right amount of time for it. But going to the gym might require traveling to the gym, doing your workout, driving back home, making a protein shake. Maybe you got to get dressed. Who knows, right? Going to the gym is not just one quick thing. There are a number of things that can happen with this. And I'm actually going to jump to the grocery store for the grocery store one first before I come back to these other ones, because that's another thing where, okay, you might have to make your list. Then you have to go to the store, do the grocery shopping, come back from the store, and put away the groceries. And the thing about something like leaving your house to do grocery shopping or go to the gym is that there are a number of things that can happen along the way that can interrupt your day, make things take longer, derail a plan you had, right? Maybe you go to the grocery store and one of the first things you need to get is not there at that store. They've sold out, something's wrong, something's happened. Now you have to go to another store. This is a whole other thing that's going on now. Same thing could happen at the gym. It could be very busy that day. And what you anticipated would be a 35, 40-minute workout is now going to take you an hour because there are a lot of people using the same pieces of equipment that you want to use. Or maybe there's crazy traffic. Or maybe something happened in the gym that day that maybe everything is slowed down. Who knows? Maybe there's a fire joke. Couldn't tell you, right? But there are a number of things that can show up. And a list this long doesn't really leave a lot of room for life to happen. Let's get back into it, all right? So let's look at review last week's meeting notes, right? Now, let's say that's in conjunction with the 3 p.m. meeting you have today. So you got to go back and review the notes, and then you have your 3 p.m. meeting. And you think, it's just going to take me a few minutes to review the notes. But then you actually look at those notes, and you see that in the notes, you said that you were going to go circle back with somebody, you were going to go get some more information on something, all in efforts to present it at this 3 p.m. meeting. And you ain't do none of that. You think it's quick because you're like, oh, I just put the notes in my notes app, but you never read them. So you don't know what your notes are going to ask of you. So now it's 2:55 and you've set aside this time to do these, to look at your notes, and there's 15 more minutes worth of work to do. You're not going to feel accomplished. I can tell you that right now, right? You might figure out how to finesse the situation in the meeting, or be on camera off mode and mute so that you can actually do the things you said you were going to do. Sure, possibly. But you probably didn't set aside enough time. And so there's a way that now you've created a possibility for you to be and feel behind that you didn't have to do. And that's just an example of not giving yourself enough time, treating things that may require a bit more effort like they're just one quick thing you need to check off of a list. And really, you're just not being fair to yourself with this. All right, let's look at the laundry, everybody's nemesis, right? So fold the clothes, hang the clothes, make space in the dresser, find the right closet for each thing, maybe look for some more hangers, maybe throw something out. Who knows, right? There are a number of things that need to happen. This is not a 5-minute task. If it were, you probably would have done it already. But it requires several actions. It requires some thinking. It requires some planning. This is the kind of task, or really this is kind of like a mini project, but we'll just call it a multi-step task today, right? This is the kind of task that requires a bit of strategy. This is the kind of task that you can get in the middle of it and realize you weren't prepared to finish it, right? And so maybe you went and you got all your clothes washed and you're putting all of your like jeans away or something like that. And then you realize, oh my gosh, I don't have enough room for my jeans. I forgot I needed to get rid of some. And so you actually can't finish the task, which means even if you get away all the other clothes, you're still going to have some residual stuff here. That's going to keep you from feeling accomplished. So this is one of those tasks that can get you kind of caught up. Same thing with like cleaning the kitchen. You can go to clean the kitchen and get started and realize, oh my gosh, I forgot to get spray from the store. This is why I was supposed to go to the grocery store because I didn't have any cleaning spray, and now I can't clean. You see what I mean? Right. And so you can kind of derail yourself when you haven't broken down the steps. And I'm not even going to get into identifying what you need to complete all these things, like knowing if you have the cleaning products and stuff like that. That's a whole other video. We can talk about how you can prepare yourself to get things done and set yourself up for success. But the point is, when you have these layered tasks or mini projects that you need to get done, it's very possible for you to get in the middle of it and find out you can't finish it the way that you wanted to or in the time that you wanted to because you didn't set aside enough time for it, or you didn't properly identify what it was going to take to get this done, where you might have been able to recognize, I'm not going to be able to do that. I don't have dish soap. I keep forgetting about that. Knowing that I needed to break down, that I need to wash the dishes, even though that would seem obvious as a thing you need to do when you clean the kitchen, it might occur to you, yeah, that's where I'm going to have the problem. I need to make sure I go to the grocery store before I try to clean the kitchen, kind of thing. So that you're not in the middle of cleaning the kitchen, be like, damn, I don't have soap. And then you run out to the store to go get stuff and remember you don't have a list. And now you're buying a bunch of crap and you've wasted your day because there are all these other things you wanted to get done and you thought these things would be quick, right? This is the kind of cycle that we put ourselves through, having ourselves feeling like we're not as productive as we are, when really we're just kind of being really ambitious and minimizing what it's going to take to get done the things that we really want to get done. So I've made this list like accordion style, right? Usually we're looking at the list in this truncated, closed accordion, but I've stretched it out so we can see what is actually on this to-do list. This is what a to-do list should look like. This is how you should be able to reflect what you're about to get into for a day. This is an actual to-do list. So if this has you thinking differently about why your to-do list always feels like a bigger struggle than it needs to be, like this video, as in hit the thumbs up, so I know that you and I are on the same page. Now, when you see that to-do list, do you really expect yourself to get every one of those things done and still be available to handle the things that come in that you weren't expecting? So that's the Slack messages you weren't anticipating, the phone call from the relative, the junior member on your team asking you for help with literally anything. Anything you forgot to put on your list, like a personal deadline or some other event that you forgot was taking place today. Because this list doesn't account for life to happen. It doesn't account for you being a human being. But that's a whole other thing, and we'll get into that. I mean, really look at how Stopping the day and laying down for 30 minutes because you have a migraine would totally derail this day. And instead of thinking there was too much on this list, you're just going to be angry because you had a migraine getting in the way of being productive. But be for real, with a list like this, how could you not have a migraine? And if you pay attention, you haven't eaten. This list doesn't even have lunchtime on it, which would give me a migraine. You haven't even stopped to use the bathroom, right? That's how tightly packed this list is. All right. This is how you make it to 5 p.m. and realize, oh crap, I didn't eat lunch yet. Yeah. Because where was it? So the only way you're ever really going to feel like you've gotten everything done is to do all the things on the list, but that's going to require you to neglect other things that your body needs and maybe even your heart wants. What do we do about this? Well, first, we have to recognize that the to-do lists we have been making and writing are not lists of what we want to do, but they're actually lists of what we want to get done. These are not the same thing. Those get done lists, the short list I showed you, that what you've been writing does not account for the things that you need to do to get those things done. Are you with me? Is your mind blown? Cool. Now let's solve the problem. But first, hit subscribe if you're not already subscribed. Now, the next step is always asking yourself, what will it take to get the thing done? Here's how you can tell if something on your list is truly a simple one-step task versus it being a multi-step task or project. Now, let's say you're laid up in bed, can't get up, hands tied. Well, not like that, but maybe like that, if that's your thing. Okay. If you're laid up for whatever reason and you couldn't actually do the things on your list and you had to tell someone else to do the thing, what steps would you tell them to take? Now, if you get a wave of anxiety just thinking about having to tell someone else how to do the things you do every day, it is highly likely that your tasks are more complex and more time consuming than you've ever been allowing yourself to believe. So think about it like that. If someone said, how can I help? What can I take off your plate? And you choose the pile of clean laundry. How many questions are they going to have to ask you so they can get it done? Where do I put this? Where does that go? How does this one get folded? Is the other sock to match this one in here? What do I do now? Are there any more hangers for these? When you have to have a set of instructions to get the thing done, not even to get it done well, just to do it at all, you're looking at a multi-step task or possibly a project. Cleaning the countertop, for example, is a part of the kitchen cleaning project. The instructions might be for cleaning the countertop, wipe it with a wet soapy cloth. Now, the person who takes these instructions might not do a good job, but if they follow those instructions, it will be wiped. If you need a lot of instructions just to get it done, not even to get it done well, not to get it done with technique or flair or however you do it, just needing multiple instructions to get it done at all is a pretty good indicator that it is not just one simple task. Now that you know how to identify if it's a single straightforward task or something more complex, you'll be able to appropriately write your lists so that they visually match the day you're about to have. And they become a clearer indicator of what you actually have to do, not just what you have to get done. This is also really helpful for getting you in the zone. Since you've already done a lot of the thinking up front when you're making the list, you can jump into action when you get to that task without having to strategize your next move every time you move to the next thing on your list. This will also help you keep your list shorter because you're forced to be more realistic about what it makes sense to get done in a single day. It's so much easier to be productive and feel accomplished when you put the right amount of things on your plate. Otherwise, you're carrying tasks and projects from day to day and not getting as far with the things that could have been done if they had more space to get done in a single day. Also, you might find that you don't need to stack things in the order you'd normally put them in. So, if you need to clean the kitchen and you have all those tasks to do, it might make sense to pair something with one of those single tasks. So, if you need to go to that 3 p.m. meeting, but you're going to be on mute and your camera's going to be off anyway, you can just clean the counter, put away the dishes, or wash the dirty dishes. Because you made line items out of the projects, you can see where you can take a single item and get that done and make actual progress on what really is a project. Also, if you've ever thought about delegating anything in your life, to someone you pay, or even a partner who does less labor than you. But you think it'll be too hard because the way you do things is so specific, or it's all just too much to explain. Making your lists in this way is going to help you get into your delegation era. Because the very first step to delegating is breaking down everything you need to get done into to-do steps. Now, I'm not just telling you this way to do things for kicks and giggles. I personally use this way of approaching to-dos and get-dones and keeping track of my tasks versus my projects in the life management system I created called PLAD. PLAD organizes every aspect of your life, keeps your missions, goals, and focuses for everything that matters to you and everything you want to make progress on in your life front and center. Then, in that same framework, you manage your tasks and your projects so that you can always make sure you're making progress on your biggest life goals and seeing improvements in the areas you're most passionate about. And if you're struggling to see what you're passionate about, this system will get you to map it out so that you can live a life that feels exciting, aligned, and purposeful, and not just productive for productivity's sake. I've linked more details about the system in the description so that you can try it out for yourself. Now, what I'd like to know from you is which things have you been calling tasks that are really projects, like in your own life? Drop them in the comments. And if you're really struggling to get that to-do list clear, let me know if you want a video to help you out with what you can't seem to get done. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope this was helpful to you. And if it was, please make sure to like this video as that helps me too. Also, hitting subscribe lets me know that you want me to make more free videos like this available to you. All right, catch you later.